in, boy, and I ain't coming back outside, boy. I don't care if I have no run or nothing, boy. Them ain't moving.
Hey, boy, I said the same shit, boy. Somebody really think I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like,
What's so crazy, bro? I was just being cheap. I actually was being cheap. My whole keep saying, let's get a room like that, man. I'm not gonna pay for no room. Man, listen, boy. I just said, damn, boy. They can send nigga the right street with their money like that. Man, I'm gonna spend this shit on them in the room, man.
Man, what? Hey, that's on DV. I mean, I like, but I got to get my last 2,000. I got to get a lawyer there. I'm like, man. I'm in that beat like, man. Damn.
You won't believe, boy. All the sticks and the guns was in the gray car.
For real?
Man, oh God, boy. And the sticks and shit in the attic.
Ooh. Boy, that was God, boy.
Yeah, what?
That was God. Yeah. He said it's all Lord. He had to get up out of there, boy. Baby. What, that way? Yeah. Yeah. You know what I made though?
Yeah, nah, man. You know how far I go.
Oh, yeah. Hope goddamn blowed up.
She what?
She blowed it up, boy.
I ain't man. She blowed my shit up.
You said Shannon okay, Mouse? Hold on, them too.
All right.
Man, so today's lesson is, if you talk on the phone, FaceTime. Other than that, I ain't gonna hold you. All the rappers, and I know a lot of y'all watch this channel. Well, some of y'all do, not all y'all. Y'all might have to walk back everything that y'all said about Young Thug, because today, they proved, in my opinion, so far, that he was going to at least go down with the Rico. And I'll tell you why his plea deal is so important and so auspicious that I might turn y'all heads around and make you go, oh, let's go.
On this slide, do you see a message with an individual by the name of Javon Fleetwood?
I do.
And are you familiar with that individual?
I am.
And how are you familiar with that individual?
He's a member of YSL.
Okay. And as a part of your investigation, have you had the occasion to investigate a shooting involving Mr. Fleetwood, where he is been charged with aggravated assault?
Yeah, I wasn't the lead investigator, but I had a chance to review the investigation.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to prep that case for trial at any point?
I did.
Right. What were the charges that he was preparing for to go to trial on?
I believe it was aggravated assault.
Okay. And do you know the approximate date of the incident in which he was being charged with?
I believe it was May 10th of 2019.
And in that May 10th, 2019, was there a vehicle associated with that ag assault?
There was.
Well, we haven't heard it yet, but avoid hearsay.
Yes. As a part of your investigation, when you were investigating that case for trial.
I'm going to get the hearsay.
Don't elicit hearsay.
I want to listen hearsay.
Because right now it sounds like she's testifying as a fact witness, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Did you get social media account from Mr. Fleetwood?
I didn't obtain records for it, but I reviewed some posts from his account.
From his public account?
Correct.
And have you had the opportunity to view those posts prior to your testimony today?
I have.
And is that Mr. Fleetwood?
That is.
Okay. And what was his Instagram name?
_TV World.
And I want to zoom into his face. Do you see any tattoos? Do you see any tattoos on Mr. Fleetwood's face?
I do.
And specifically, do you see the tattoo with the star?
I do.
What is the tattoo next to the tattoo with the star?
So down the right side of his face by his temple, you'll see he has YSL tattooed on the right side of his face.
Now I want to go to this conversation that starts on February 25th, 2020.
Okay.
Who is Mr. Huey speaking with?
Mr. Williams using his Los Angeles area code phone number.
And looking at this post, generally, what is the context of this text message conversation?
He sends a social media post of somebody else to Mr. Williams and says, "What's up with him? Is he cool?"
Okay. And then what was his next message to Mr. Williams' phone?
He's inquiring if the gentleman is cool, it looks, because he says he posted that racial expletive Bloody J.
And are you familiar with that name or individual, Bloody J?
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware if he's associated with any gang?
Yes.
What gang is that?
He's associated with the YFN, or Atlanta Blood Gang, criminal street gangs.
And do you know Bloody J's given name?
Yes, it's Justin Ushery.
And have you had any investigation involving Mr. Ushery?
I have.
And then did Mr. Williams respond to his to Mr. Huey's inquiry?
He says, "Who is that?" To which Mr. Huey responds, "Duct Tape Dave."
And are you familiar with the individual by the name of Duct Tape Dave?
Yes.
How are you familiar with that name?
He's a pretty prominent guy within the duct tape criminal street gang.
Okay. And then was there a response to that?
It was.
Oh, what was that?
Mr. Williams says, "He's a buster too." To which Mr. Huey responds, "Slat." And he tells Mr. Williams, "I told him, fuck them, racial expletive. He hit me back laughing and shit."
Now I want to go to a tweet that begins on March 12th, 2020.
Okay.
Now, what is going on within this group of text messages on March 12th, 2020?
Mr. Williams initiates a conversation with Mr. Huey.
Okay. And what does Mr. Williams say in his initiation?
What y'all got going on?
Okay. And then is there a response?
He says, "Them, racial expletive, no, I ain't play no part in that slime."
All right. And then is there a response from Mr. Williams back to Mr. Huey?
He says, "Take that shit back."
And is there a response from Mr. Huey back to Mr. Williams?
Mr. Huey says, "I ain't get nothing out of it. I ain't even pull no gun on nobody. I'm finna tell them though."
All right. And does he make another response?
He said, "I told them I ain't finna do that shit. He went on and did it. I couldn't stop him."
And then does Mr. Williams respond to that?
Mr. Williams says, "If he don't take it back, he's gonna die."
And looking at this text message, without going into detail, were you aware of any police reports around this event of March 12, 2020?
Overruled.
Were you aware of any police reports regarding any incidents around this date?
I was.
Okay. Now, I want to go to 227 VV2B. And in looking at 227 VV2B, was there a text message on November 14, 2021?
There was.
Okay. And who sent the message?
Mr. Huey sends the message to Mr. Williams' LA area code phone number.
Okay. And what does the message say?
It says, "You know, I'm ready to handle the business and go sit down if I got to about any one of y'all on my mama."
And who is depicted in this picture?
That's going to be Mr. Huey standing with Mr. Williams.
And is there a caption?
There is.
What's the caption?
It reads, "From lockdown to a jet, slap biz."
All right. And is there a date to that post?
September 4th.
Now, in looking at Mr. Huey's phone, we talked about there being this ongoing beef with YFN since about 2015. And in Mr. Huey's phone, there is information about Mr. Huey going to go handle business and sending those flyers.
Correct?
Between 2019 and 2020, was there any ongoing conflict or continuous ongoing conflict between YFN and YSL?
Yes.
Now, let's be fair, square, obvious, and honest. When he say, "Take it back or you gonna die," that's not him saying he's going to do it. He's saying that might happen, but he never said. He left it way too broad. He never said, "Oh, Turbo, you know how Turbo is, bruh. Y'all might die behind this." He didn't say anything. He just left it ambiguous at best. But it's those messages right there that shows the quote-unquote power that Young Thug has. Because if we being fair, right, he's kind of talking to Marquavius Huey like he a little soldier to do exactly what he tell him to do. and his little soldier is supposed to have the best interest of him as a whole and anybody associated with him. Now, a lot of y'all gonna disagree with that, and that's cool. But if you take your pom-poms out your hands and you just listen to the evidence from what they put out. Now, not saying on cross that they can't save some of this stuff, but Brian Steele and Keith Adams are not here. So they don't have to essentially do anything, but they do have to do something, because what the state is doing right now is working on proving the criminal street gang. And I want y'all to take a look at this as far as it comes to Georgia and criminal street gang activity. So this is what they're trying to do right here as part of their RICO. And I want you guys to understand they're going for the conspiracy part. Remember, Racketeer Influence Corrupt Organization Act. But really, they're going for the conspiracy, because if you talk about it with another person to do a crime, you technically are conspiring. If you want a perfect example of this, remember in Boys in the Hood when Trey hopped out the car, right? Trey would be charged with conspiracy because he knew exactly what they were going to do. So he wouldn't have got out that car and basically faced no charges if the police were to find out later on wiretap. But enough of that. The Georgia Criminal Street Gang Act, also known as the Georgia Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act, is a law that provides law enforcement and prosecutors with tools to combat criminal street gang activity. The act focuses on gang activity rather than gang membership. Remember that key 2 words right there, gang activity. Here are some of the offenses related to criminal gang activity in Georgia. It is illegal to participate in criminal gang activity if you are employed by or associated with a criminal street gang. That is exactly what they're trying to do right here. It is illegal to commit an offense with the intent to join or maintain a criminal street gang. They've been doing that in these texts so far. It is illegal to acquire or maintain control of property through criminal gang activity. Isn't that what Marquavius Huey just kind of alluded to? It is illegal for a person in a leadership position. It does not say you have to be the leader. So it is illegal for a person in a leadership position within a criminal street gang to engage in criminal activity. Is that technically what Young Thug was doing? It is illegal to cause, encourage, or recruit others to join a criminal street gang. Now, that part I ain't really seen. So here we go right here. Evidence that can be used to establish a criminal street gang includes, watch all of this stuff right here. Pay attention. A common name, YSL. Common identifying signs, symbols, or tattoos. They all have that. Graffiti. I ain't really seen none of that stuff. Common attire, make America slime again. All of that stuff right there. Common activities, customs, or behaviors. So, with this testimony, in my opinion, they've proven all of that. Now, this is first reaction. That doesn't mean that Shard and Weinstein can't come up. But, bruh, let me finish my soliloquy, please. And some of y'all like, bruh, it was a long, long day. So Nash, can you help me out? Can you prove it a little bit further? And I got y'all, because this right here 100% throws young Jeffrey Williams right there in the trash can. And then I will let y'all know exactly how I feel about his plea deal now that all of this stuff came out.
Now, as an investigator on this case, did you have the occasion to investigate any crimes involving an individual by the name of Marquavius Huey?
I did.
And specifically, did you investigate an armed robbery that occurred in October of 2020?
I did.
All right. How did you get involved in that investigation?
Prior to coming to the DA's office, when I was at the GBI Gang Task Force, my office was at the Atlanta Police Department's headquarters in their gang unit, so I was very familiar with all the detectives and the different units up there. I was approached by a detective, Jeffrey Henderson, from the robbery unit, regarding a robbery case involving Mr. Huey that he had.
And when he approached you, what, if any, steps did you assist him when he approached you?
I did.
What steps did you take to assist him with that investigation?
Just identifying Mr. Huey's gang involvement, who he was affiliated with, who he would have had alliances with, who he would have had rivalries with, things of that nature.
And how did you go about assisting to identify Huey's relationships with any gang involvement?
Well, the first thing I did was review Mr. Huey's social media accounts. The name has changed a few times, but when I reviewed it, it was Mr. Huey's very proud of his affiliation with Young Slime Life.
Yep. So staying, don't provide commentary like that, okay? Just if you're testifying to facts, just give us the facts. Disregard that last comment.
So just what were some of his names?
JBS Quay for Jonesboro South Quay. I can't remember the rest of them off the top of my head, but it changed a few times.
And when you looked at his social media, did you also do any other investigation to assist Investigator Henderson?
When Investigator Henderson, following Mr. Huey's arrest, obtained his cellular devices, Investigator Henderson did a search warrant for his devices with a scope of 30 days. So what that means is when the phone is extracted, it's permissible to review 30 days worth of data. I think the time frame was just around the time of the robbery. Within that time frame, there were additional crimes and evidence in the phone. I secured search warrants to expand the scope of what was allowed to be searched to the entire phone, on 2 phones.
And once you were able to secure a search warrant, did you then look into the phone, the expanded phone?
I did.
And in preparation for your testimony today, have you had the opportunity to look at some of the contents in that phone?
I have.
Now, Investigator Viverito, when looking through the phone, well, let me ask you this. Prior to getting involved with this investigation with Marquavius Huey, did you have any knowledge of any beefs between YFN and YSL?
Yes, since 2015, YSL and YFN had an ongoing conflict.
Overruled.
And when you were working with the GBI task force in 2020, did you have knowledge of that beef?
I did.
All right. Now, when you looked inside of Mr. Huey's phone, did you see any conversations in his phone regarding an individual by the name of Lucci?
I did.
Okay. And generally, what information was in the phone that you saw about an individual Lucci? What did you see in the phone? I
would see that when Lucci or Mr. Rayshawn Bennett, when Mr. Bennett would have, there was a handful of performances or appearances within the city of Atlanta. The flyer would be shared either by Mr. Williams or Mr. Huey, and Mr. Huey would talk about going to handle that. He would be told or asked to go handle that. And you said he would be talking to Mr. Williams. How did you know, when you're saying Mr. Williams, who are you referring to? Jeffrey Williams, also known as Young Thug. How did you know he was speaking with Jeffrey Williams? Based on the phone numbers that he was in communication with, as well as how they were named in the phone, but the phone numbers themselves. I'm going to first show you what's been admitted as 227 VV2C. Now, first, looking at 227 VV2C, what is the jury looking at? You're looking at when you extract a phone. If you go to your address book in your phone, you'll pull up contacts or a contact card. This is what it looks like when the phone is extracted. When you receive it back on a hard drive and you're going through the phone, this is what it's going to appear as. So you may have mom, a phone number, and that information. This is how it appears in a forensic phone extraction. And for 227 VV2C, do you see a name associated with this contact? Yes. And what is the name? It's named Slime and has some emojis with the name. Okay. And are you able to tell what the emojis are? It looks like a snake emoji, and I don't know if you guys can see. It should be like the iPhone emoji. Okay. And then in this phone, when it says deleted, do you know what that means? I would assume that I don't see it on my copy where it says deleted. Where it says deleted in the left-hand column? Oh, okay, there you go. So yeah, that would be, I would assume that means that contact was deleted or removed from the device at some point, but still stored in the memory of the device somewhere. Okay. And where it has other, what is in the other category? That would be the number associated with that contact. All right. And then for the created category, what's the created category? That's going to be the date that the contact was added to the phone. So say you meet somebody, you add their contact to your phone, you put them in your address book, that's going to be that date. Okay. And then if it was modified, what does that mean? Modified could be you change their name, you add a last name, you delete the contact, or you modify the number in any way. All right. And what was the phone number associated with this contact in the phone? 213-910-1192. Now I'm going to also show you 227 VV2D. Okay. First, I'm going to start with the other. What is the phone number associated with this contact? 213-910-1192. And is that the same phone number from 227 VV2C? It is. Right.
And when you look at the name, what is in the name section?
So here, it's going to appear as almost like a bug type emoji, but I had a chance to review the physical device. It is a spider emoji. That's just how it translates to, I don't know if you have friends, if you have an iPhone, your friends are Android, sometimes the emojis don't translate correctly. When you extract the phone, that's what happens here. So when you look at the physical device, it's going to be a spider.
And then what was the created and modified date on 227VV2D?
March 1st of 2019, it's created and modified November 22nd of 2020.
And through your investigation, did you associate this contact with an individual?
I did.
And who was that?
Jeffrey Williams.
All right. Now I'm going to publish 227VV2A. What's being depicted in slide 2? And if we can zoom in, because I know it's pretty tiny.
So just like in your phone when you send a message, typically the message you're sending is going to be in green for iPhones, blue if the sent recipient has an iPhone. It's going to be on the right-hand side of the conversation. What that is going to be is it's a flyer for a YFN Lucci performance or appearance.
Okay. And who sent the flyer, and to whom did the flyer get sent to?
Mr. Huey sent that flyer to Mr. Williams.
All right. And looking at slide 3, excuse me, in the middle, what is in the middle? Is that the attachment of what the flyer is?
Yes.
Now looking at slide number 3, is that the attachment?
It is.
All right. And for the record, what does the attachment say?
It is a flyer. I think it was a performance or an appearance. It was a mixtape release for Mr. Bennett at the Diamond Club, which, from my experience with other investigations, is a YFN stronghold.
And if you need to, you can use the screen to help point out as well.
Yeah, so you'll see it's just saying he has a mixtape release, and this is at the Diamond Club on Northside Drive.
Now looking at slide 3, tell the jurors about the conversation that is happening as a result of this flyer.
So it's a little confusing, but at the time, if you look at the time and dates these messages are sent, the flyer and the initial conversation is started on Mr. Williams' phone that has a 213 area code or a Los Angeles area code. Once the flyer is sent by Mr. Huey, Mr. Williams switches to his Atlanta phone number, and they engage in conversation to where Mr. Williams tells him, handle that tonight, and follows it up with slat. And then Mr. Huey responds, slat.
And you said that this was Mr. Williams' Atlanta number. On the left-hand side, it says slime. Would that be the contact, how the contact is saved in Mr. Huey's phone?
Yes, that's how it would appear in the phone.
And what is the Atlanta phone number?
It is 404-789-1371.
And what is the date, roughly the date and times of these text messages?
January 19th, 2020.
What is being depicted on slide 5 of this PowerPoint?
That is Mr. Williams using his Atlanta number to tell Mr. Huey on August 15th of 2020, go handle that, and he responds, slat.
Now, is this September 2nd, 2020?
It is.
Okay. And what is occurring in this text message conversation beginning on September 2nd, 2020?
Okay, so several months later, Mr. Huey is going to send another flyer for a YFN Lucci appearance or performance. And Mr. Williams responds, where's that at? Mr. Huey tells him, Claremont. Mr. Williams responds and says, slatty, handle, stay very low. And Mr. Huey says, slat, for sure, I've been out the way.
And looking at the next slide, is this a copy of that flyer?
Yes, it is.
And when is the date of the appearance that Mr. Bennett is advertising?
September 6th.
Now, going to the next slide. Does that conversation continue?
It does.
Okay. And if you could say for the record what the conversation is as it continues.
Mr. Huey tells Mr. Williams, I appreciate you for everything, my brother. Never about money with me. I'm built on loyalty. He sends the 100 emoji, which kind of means like, I'm for real about it. Mr. Williams says, slat, handle that, I got you. Mr. Huey responds, slat.
Now, going to the next slide, is there some additional conversation now with the 213 number that's identified as Spider or Mr. Williams?
There is.
Okay. And when is this conversation?
July 20th of 2020.
Okay. So this is after the first Lucci conversation, but before the second Lucci conversation?
Yes.
All right. And what is occurring in this conversation?
Mr. Huey sends, in the first message, you see an attachment. It's a video clip of a friend that wanted really bad. He was like trying to get his career off the ground as a rapper here in Atlanta. He says, post this for me, my brother. and then he uses a derogatory term for somebody and says, that person's out here in LA, twin. Not referring to his friend, he's referring to somebody else, somebody of the opposition, it appears.
Sustained.
Yes. And is that just generally the context of this conversation?
Correct.
All right.
Yeah, that pretty much does it right there. Pretty much does it right there. So basically, Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Truly Humble Under God, King Slime, Young Thug, Lil Jeff, Jeffrey, Sex. Yeah, his ass would have got found guilty of that Rico, bro. On the conspiracy part, to violate the Rico, he would have been found guilty. I don't know how best to put that for y'all, because at the end of the day, now that's not saying that Brian still couldn't have did one of these. Did he ever say that Marquavius Huey should go and do anything? No, he didn't. When he says handle that, what is that supposed to mean? Now, Brian Stowe definitely would not ask that question. And more than likely, the state would. Like, hey, go handle that. But basically saying this, did he ever tell him to specifically go harm him? No. And the whole crowd would have ate it up. I know exactly how y'all would have reacted. Then he would have asked Viverito, hey, did anything happen to YFN Lucci at any of his shows, specifically by Mr. Huey? And she would have said no. And the crowd would have ate it up. And boom, that would have been cool. Yeah, but saying go handle that, I ain't gonna hold you. We know enough slang to know exactly what the hell that means. And some of y'all gonna be like, well, the state has to prove what that means. I get it. But like I told y'all, death by 1,000 cuts, that right there showed leadership, command, and literally instructions. So even though some of y'all gonna get on here and try to lambaste me and be like, yeah, Nash, but it doesn't say this, it doesn't say that, you would be correct. But the problem with it is that this man has been associated within the other screen or the other video to say, hey, you're gonna die. Take that back. All of these things. Now, there's nothing criminal about half of that, because, 1 and 2, half of 2 makes 1. But saying you're going to die is too ambiguous. And once again, people will eat it up and be like, nah, Nash, that's not what that means. I believe wholeheartedly Young Thug was going to get charged with that conspiracy part of this, because at the end of the day, that's exactly what it looks like. When she was able to establish a war between, and that's what they're still doing now, but the war between YFN and YSL, and once again, I showed y'all the criminal street gang part of it. That was going to be, and it will be given to the jurors as far as all that stuff, and which leads me to believe that Mr. Jackson and Mr. Kendrick will be found guilty of the conspiracy part of violating the Rico. Because at the end of the day, when he hopped on that phone, when Duke was on the phone, basically talking about getting bail and all that stuff and everything, talking about he has to have a bail hearing, and then you hear Mr. Kendrick get himself on the phone and basically sound like a pissed off person, and his mom say out her mouth, hey, man, you should have never got in that car and did all of this and did all of that and everything like that. Which, mama, hey, you ain't supposed to be talking like that on the phone. You're an OG now, damn it. That right there is enough. It doesn't have to be a mountain. It could just be just enough. So that right there, those two individuals being part of YSL, regardless of anything, it says you can be employed by a business. It's what it says. Some of y'all will argue the language, but the language is clear. You can be employed by a business. So all that YSL is not a gang, it's a company and a business and all that shit. Yeah, you can still be charged under that. And the reason why they were trying to fight the gang part of it was because of this. And this is the point of Young Thug. He had to take that deal. Wasn't no two ends. Once Young Thug got a chance to get out as the leader of the whole YSL shit, that's enough. because they were going to come for his assets. One thing about Gunna's plea deal that completely fucks everything. He said YSL's a street gang and a label. Boom. That's enough, bro. If the second in charge is doing this shit, and everybody else is coming out and saying the same thing in plea deals, that would have derailed Young Thug. Do I think Young Thug should forgive Gunna? Ultimately, yeah, because this is your fault, nigga. I don't care how nobody take it. This ain't Gunna's fault that Young Thug was in that position. This is 100% Young Thug's fault. But on the flip side, he said he learned his lesson. I believe him, because when you're on probation, and this 100%, I know this for a fact just off of being a human being, because any human being will see this. You don't owe nobody no type of loyalty anymore. If they ain't industry rappers and doing their thing with this industry rapping, this has given you the full path of saying, fuck this shit, I'm gone, I'm not messing with y'all anymore. The streets have screwed me over. I looked out for y'all. I bought y'all a house. I let y'all sit back and chill. I let y'all drive my cars. I let y'all be seen with me in pictures. When I'm ascending to the top, y'all done disrespected my name out here and everything like that. And he would be correct. Even though I say Young Thug's hand is ain't got no dirt in his fingernails, because they definitely do based on those phone calls. Now, that's not to say Brian still couldn't have pulled off some magic and made it look good and dressed it up and caused the reasonable doubt and all that stuff. He 100% could have. But since I ain't Brian Steele, shit. Just gonna tell you the truth. And at the end of the day, it looks BA triple D. So the state on handling that, they did a good job. Some of y'all may feel like it's overkill and all of that crap and everything, and you would be correct. I thought Viverito was going to be done today as far as the state is done, but she said 2 hours, so I'm going to try my damnedest to make it on Monday, bare minimum, and try to be in that courtroom. But listen clear with no fear, all heart in here. When it boiled down to it, bruh, that YSL shit, street shit, has shown the world how stupid gangs are, how stupid gangs operate, and they already know it. They just don't know it can happen to them. Those phone calls are 100% proof on what the hell you should not be doing, what you should not be talking, and this should be a thank you to all the gangs in Georgia and in America, because it's under the RICO. Who created the RICO? Hey, Giuliani with the feds and the state of New York. So we got the RICO Act, and every state has their own version of it. Not every state has the RICO, but they have their own version of the RICO. And this is 100% proof of how not to. And remember what I told y'all? I said, bruh, it look like they gonna get a goddamn mistrial. Listen to Viverito's stupid ass.
With phone calls, Mr. Myrick is eager to be paid for what he did for stabbing Mr. Bennett. So Ms. Ellison is texting.
Yeah, I mean, I already instructed you once to not include your commentary and just provide the facts.
Can I lay some foundation? Were you able to listen to the jail calls?
Viverito, you are not a gang expert. You suck at your job. You just do. She trash as hell. All you basically did was learn about some people who joined an organization and convinced the judge to wiretap those phones and all of that stuff, and that's really what it is. All these so-called gang experts that act like they knew the intricacies of this gang and stuff has not been proven. It just hasn't. I'm sorry. These cats made the job easy for y'all. Y'all didn't do no hard detective work. And that's why, unfortunately, there are going to be murders that are going to remain unsolved, even though murder has no statute of limitations. But, bruh, unless the feds come in and try to charge somebody with murder, bruh, they done beat the murder on a RICO, and they done beat the murder on an individual. So, y'all screwed, because the state of Georgia, aka Fulton County, has not proven shit. When you have experts like this, you wonder how hard their job is actually. When you had Sprinkle in there, he basically was there to introduce the evidence that was going to be used against Duke. And all they would have talked about was, hey, So when you and DeMonte Kendrick were rolling, yeah, what was going to happen with that? What were you going to do? Why were you going to do it? Oh, you got into a fight at the club. Dude stole on you. And then you got so mad that you wanted to go do this and go do that. And then that would have been it. That was the phone call that was supposed to be so damning. So George Cheedy, you can shut the fuck up because you never knew what the hell you was talking about. But, and yeah, I took a shot at George Cheedy because he took a shot at me. So it is what it is. I'm petty like that. I don't wish that man no harm. I wish him high success, but fuck him. But anyways, there's that part. Then with the fact of this, do we know, have any idea, or even want to know who the defense is going to call? I don't know. Like, y'all let me know your thoughts on that one. Should the defense just say, fuck it and leave it like that? Because right now, only thing I can think about is bringing in people that the state brought in to clear some shit up. But you already did that. So I'm thinking to myself, hey, write your closing argument. Point out the inefficiencies and deficiencies of the state and have about it that way. Like they say, BK, have it your way. But subscribe, turn that bell, stay notified, and share to keep your people aware. For whatever reason, YouTube want to play games and all that shit and not send out the notifications. So if you can, if you want to help, that's only if you want to. Leave a like. If you don't, F you, Seti Nash. I'm just here to watch. I don't care about none of that stuff. That's cool too. But share to keep your people aware. Subscribe, turn that bell, stay notified. And if you want to get an algorithm right, leave a like.